60-year-old New York chiropractor Mary Yoder attends to her patients at her Whitesboro medical practice. It's a successful chiropractic business she and her husband Bill have owned for more than 30 years. On this particular Sunday, it was business as usual.
She was seeing patients throughout the day. That day she left for lunch to go take care of her mom. When she came back to work, probably around 1:30, a few hours later while at work, she became ill.
Not able to shake her sickness, Mary heads home early, around 4:30.
She doesn't know what she's sick from. She's just having diarrhea and vomiting at this time.
Odd symptoms for Mary Yoder, who is usually the picture of health. Part of her medical practice included a belief in holistic medicine and herbal supplements, even growing some of her own herbs in her cherished home garden.
My sister was very health conscious, okay, and she sold these supplements and stuff. I mean, she lived on supplements.
Back at her home, Mary decides to try to sleep it off. But by morning, her symptoms have taken a turn for the worse.
The following morning, her husband Bill brings her to the St. Luke's emergency room.
Mary is admitted to the hospital and doctors run a battery of tests trying to identify what's making her so violently ill. It's now been over 24 hours since Mary first became sick.
At 10 o'clock that night, she gets up and she falls in the hospital in her room, at which time, after that, they then admit her into ICU at the hospital, where she just continues to deteriorate.
Tragically, by morning, Mary suffers her first heart attack. This will be followed by a staggering 7 more.
The final one in the afternoon is when she passes away.
Just 48 hours after leaving feeling under the weather, Mary is dead. Cause of death? Doctors are at a loss.
It just didn't make sense based on Mary's age and her health and stuff.
Because Mary dies under the hospital's care, a routine autopsy is ordered.
Once she fell, the hospital, because she had been in the hospital for over 24 hours, they then want an autopsy done.
And the autopsy results?
They look at the slides underneath the microscope. There's something not right.
The autopsy showed that she was a perfectly healthy woman who something so virulent had entered her body to cause complete organ shutdown within like 36 hours. And I said, so what are you saying, like insect bite or something?
But it was no insect bite. It was poison.
This had to be shocking.
It was very shocking.
The medical examiner's office contacts Poison Control for help. They test Mary's body for common arsenic and cyanide poisonings. The results are negative. Then 2 long months pass for Mary's friends and family when chemists at Poison Control get a positive hit.
Had you ever heard of this particular poison before?
Never.
She died from colchicine toxicity, which poisoned her.
Colchicine, when used properly, is an effective medicine for treating gout, which is an inflammation of the joints. But if you don't have gout,
A little dab will do it. It takes only a minute amount to get somebody sick or kill them.
Colchicine toxicity causes fever, abdominal cramping, vomiting. Basically, all of your liquids leave your body.
She suffered a number of heart attacks. I mean, this was a death that was drawn out over a period of almost 2 days. How would you characterize this death and what she went through?
I'd say it would be brutal.
We couldn't believe our sister had died of colchicine poisoning.
now they know the substance that killed her. Investigators have to find out how it got in her body.
She has a garden and possibly had taken something from the garden. She also takes supplements. So they're also looking at some contamination in the supplements. They had those collected and sent out for test.
The results? No contamination. It was no accident, and even suicide is off the table. After investigators speak with friends and family, that leaves just one unsettling option.
Somebody murdered her.
Mary Yoder's death is ruled a homicide by the medical examiner's office. Now, they know how she died, but who poisoned Mary?
Anytime somebody dies, the spouse is, somebody that's looked at usually very hard, and for good reason. Oftentimes, they're responsible for it.
On the day Mary became ill, oddly, her ever-present husband Bill was absent from the office. And Bill's absence makes cops suspicious, especially when they can't verify his whereabouts.
Were you questioned?
I was brought in at the very beginning of the investigation. I got the impression they thought Bill did it. And they asked me flat out, did I think he did it? At that point in time, I said no, because in all fairness to another human being, I have no reason to think he did. But I said, I will qualify that, however, though, if you find out that he's involved with another woman, then I think it's possible. That's exactly what I said.
And Bill allegedly was involved with another woman, and not just any other woman.
It turned out to be my sister.
As in older sister, Kathy.
Do you think Bill's relationship with Kathy began before Mary died?
Yes, I do.
Even though Bill and Kathy are a couple now, both deny they were romantically involved until 2 months after Mary's death. But there were other things. Bill didn't seem that interested in the investigation and started taking frequent trips out of town. For Mary's family and even police, it was all painting one very suspicious picture of husband Bill.
You know, he didn't seem to be, anybody that saw him
grieving
said,
widow.
yeah, he just didn't seem to be.
But before cops can question Bill, they get something in the mail that makes them question everything.
The Onondaga County Medical Examiner's Office calls the Sheriff's Department. They've received an anonymous letter that claims to have information regarding the case.
Up next, what's in the letter points cops in a new direction.
They pointed to
And cops speak to one of the last people to see Mary Yoder alive.
They've received an anonymous letter that claims to have information regarding the case. That same day, the Oneida County Sheriff's Office receives an identical copy of that letter claiming the same.